My wanker of a producer sent my sister to Greenland to cover the frozen brain cells of European leaders and dumped the silver short story she was doing on my shoulders. I was on holiday tilting back a pint with my feet in the sand when I got the call. I've got to warn you, this is not my wheelhouse. I usually cover the idiots chasing around a pigskin ball trying to give themselves concussions. The game is different, but the results are similar. I will give it my best. So let's recap where Sarah left off. And the big banks are genuinely operating like they've borrowed their dad's Ferrari, removed the brakes, and decided to go full throttle into traffic during rush hour, blindfolded, while texting. The Fed's favorite retarded children are sitting in a room lined with mahogany that costs more than your house. They're sipping a 1930 Chateau Margaux, actual liquid history lads, nibbling on beluga caviar, the stuff that costs £300 a spoon, and they're making decisions that would make a toddler with a crayon look like a financial genius. Right, lads? Their traders are probably thinking, what if we short the entire global silver supply into the absolute void? What could possibly go wrong? The recklessness tier list, Tier S. How are we still alive? These absolute muppets have shorted 56 to 57 million shares of SLV. That's nearly 10% of the ETF's entire float. They're borrowing shares at 11 to 12% interest rates, like they're not essentially paying a fire tax on their own stupidity. It's like taking out a loan shark's loan to cover your loan shark's loan, each layer more expensive than the last. And here's the beautiful part. They're doing this while the world is genuinely short 800 million ounces of physical silver. China's hoarding it, Tesla's melting it into circuit boards. Solar panels need it. They're making less of it every year. But sure, mate, let's short it into oblivion. What could possibly happen? We're not even hiding it anymore. The COMEX futures market is absolutely drowning in short positions. These aren't bets. These are inversions of reality. They're basically shorting the laws of supply and demand itself. It's like standing in a desert, holding a no-rain sign, and genuinely expecting it to work. Meanwhile, the custodian banks are sitting in their ivory towers going, yeah, we definitely have all that silver. Definitely. Totally. Don't audit us, though. The Fed's become our sugar daddy. The Federal Reserve's dumped over $200 billion into repo operations since late 2025. That's not stabilizing the market, mate. That's enabling the addiction. It's like your mate keeps crashing cars, and instead of taking that pint away, you hand him your keys and buy him another pint. Don't worry about your short position imploding, the Fed's basically saying. We'll just print more liquidity. Except, and this is the bit they're hoping you miss, you can't print silver. You can create digital dollars until the servers catch fire. You cannot create physical precious metal that doesn't exist. The Titanic moment we're actually living in, the orchestra's still playing, the ship's listing, water's pouring in, and what are banks executives doing? Still clinking glasses with champagne that costs more than a G-Wagon, still discussing quarterly bonuses, still making short bets like the laws of physics are just suggestions. Darling, some hedge fund manager is probably saying to his trader, do you think the peasants will notice when their ETF holdings become worth significantly less? Yes. Yes, they will, you absolute numpty. The mechanics of the catastrophe, while sipping 1930s wine. Here's how this actually implodes. Real investors, pension funds, family offices, people who actually exist, suddenly demand physical silver delivery. The custodian banks go pale. Right, they're thinking while their caviar sits melting on a $50,000 plate. We don't actually have this. So shorts try to cover, but there are 57 million shares shorted, and not enough available shares to borrow. So borrow rates spike to 20%, 30%, 40%. Suddenly covering your position costs more than your actual losses were worth. But you have to cover because the ETF starts redemption cascades. Meanwhile, the COMEX shorts are in the exact same boat. They can't deliver. Prices rip higher. Panic sets in. And here's the chef's kiss part. When one part of the system breaks, they all do. Interbank lending seizes up. Nobody trusts anyone. The Fed goes, right, another $500 billion. But there's no amount of money that fixes a physical shortage of a commodity you need to run civilization. The Trimty they realized. Picture it. Some banker walks into a room at 3 a.m., coffee going cold, staring at screens showing silver prices doing things they thought were mathematically impossible. The caviar's gone rancid, the wine's warm, and he actually realizes that they shorted the entire planet's silver supply into the abyss of the Fed's balance sheet. And there's no undo button. What actually happens next? The acceleration zone. You're gonna see SLV borrow rates hitting 20% plus. It's getting spicy. Physical premiums skyrocketing because dealers literally can't source it. Options expiring ITM while there's nothing to borrow to cover. Bank stress starting to show in credit default swaps. The Fed printing harder while pretending it's not desperate.